5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Good afternoon and welcome to this meeting of the Mid-Sussex District Council Cabinet. Before we begin, I'll just read the safety announcement for the benefit of people in the building. The building fire alarm signal is a continuous two-tone alarm. On hearing the evacuation alarm, leave the building by the nearest marked exit route. Follow the green signs to the assembly point, which is the large staff car park opposite the building entrance. Anyone who cannot use the stairs will be helped by the officers present after others have left. Do not return to the building until told it is safe to do so by an authorised officer. And I'll just remind everyone that the whole of the council site is no smoking. Filming from the public gallery is permitted, but members must refrain from filming within the chamber so as to not distract the meeting. And if I could ask people to switch mobile phones to silent, please. For the benefit of members of the public watching the live stream, I'm Councillor John Arch-Edwards, the leader of the council. To my right are fellow members of the cabinet. To my left are members of the council's management team and other officers who will be supporting this meeting. The first item on the agenda is to receive any declarations of interest from members in respect of any matter on the agenda. Colleagues, are there any? No, there are no declarations, thank you. Item 2, to receive apologies for absence. I'm not aware that we have any. Item 3, to confirm the minutes of the previous meeting, which was on the 18th of October. So those minutes are in our papers pack. Colleagues, are we happy that they were a correct record of that meeting?
Agreed.
Those are agreed, thank you. Item 4 is to consider any items the leader agrees to take as urgent business. I'm not aware of any. So we'll turn to the substantive item on the agenda then, the introduction of flexible season tickets and review of pay and display parking charges. Item 5, I'll turn to the Assistant Chief Executive to introduce the report. Thank you.
Thank you. As the report sets out, the Council's parking strategy proposes a number of actions in year 1, which is this year. Firstly, to develop an investment strategy, and secondly, to introduce new differential tariffs. However, as the report states, as a result of the impact of the pandemic, the consultant's advice was not to introduce differential tariffs at this time, but instead to take the opportunity to align charges more closely to those of our neighbours and to inflation, given that charges have not increased for 10 years. Paragraphs 15 and 16 show how the proposed increases have been applied and their impact. In addition to this, and in response again to the pandemic, the report also proposes to provide a more flexible approach to the Council's season ticket offer to respond to changing working patterns. Demand for season tickets in September 21 were down by 42%. The season ticket proposal is set out at paragraphs 28 and the impact is set out in paragraphs 31. Should Cabinet agree the recommendation, there is a clear statutory process the Council must follow. This is set out in paragraphs 33 to 35. The financial implications are also set out in the report at paragraphs 40 to 45. However, as a result again of the pandemic and the uncertainty this has caused, the financial implications the full financial implications are difficult to predict. An equality impact assessment can be also found appended to the report at Appendix 2. My colleague Rob Anderton and myself are here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that introduction, and as well as drawing members' attention to those sections of the report, I'd also remind members that we've had a very small number of email comments from members of the council, which I know that all members have read and will be able to take account of. I'll turn first to the portfolio holder, Councillor Hillier.
Thank you, Leader. Actually, the Assistant Chief Executive has said a lot of what I was going to say. I think there's many reasons why this is the right thing to do, and most of them are in this excellent report. I'd like to thank officers who worked closely with me over recent months on this. It's a very complex area, but an important area for the Council. And again, as the Assistant Chief Executive said, I think there's two really good reasons why we're doing this. The first one is in relation to the season tickets. And that again in itself is for two reasons. First of all, it was part of the strategy and is in the implementation plan. And obviously with regards to COVID, we know that a lot of the people working in our town centres and who use these season tickets, their ways of working have changed. So it's really important that we support our town centres by changing our season season ticket arrangements accordingly. And in order to do that, is the second reason to do this, is obviously we need to get our charges at the right level as a base in order to implement this. So I won't say too much more. I'm very interested, obviously, in colleagues' comments, but I am firmly of the belief that the recommendations are right, and I hope that at the end of this discussion we shall all agree. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Ellenberg.
Thank you, Chairman. I wanted to comment because it might come as a surprise to some people to know that we've chosen now to increase our parking charges, but they have been very low for years. And as members of the public have heard me repeatedly say at council meetings, we are a financially independent council. And over the years where we have not increased our parking tariff, we have continued to improve our car parks. We've resurfaced them, maintained them, put in new machines where they're necessary, and kept up with contemporary advances in the form of the apps. We use the My Permit app, and we've done all of that without increasing the tariff of our car parking charges. And I wanted to bring that to everyone's attention. So, unfortunate as it is, the financial world is not the same as it was, and we're not getting the income that we were, so we need to put up the car parking charges. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Webster.
Thank you, Councillor Ash-Edwards. First of all, I think mention must be made of the working party that has put forward these proposals to Cabinet, and I too agree with the reasons for the season tickets being addressed now, because working habits have definitely changed during and after the pandemic as we recover, and we have to do what is in the best interests of the whole district. And I'm in full agreement of the recommendations in paragraph 5. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Demir.
Thank you, Leader. Yes, this has got to be done. Totally agree. They're not being put up to any extortionate heights. 10 years is a long time. We all know what inflation has done, and I think that these are very fair. I also agree with the different working habits that the season ticket charges had got to be looked at of an urgency, so I'm totally in agreement with that. One concern, and I also think that the increase hopefully will pay for more technology and more better car parks for everyone, and I'm very glad to see that. One slight concern I have is that I do hope we won't do away with cash machines as such, thinking of some of our older friends. They don't have apps, they don't have this, that and the other. So I would like somebody's assurance that there will be enough of those kind of cash machines for them to pay.
Thank you. Judy Holmes, can I ask you to respond to that?
Yes, I'm happy to provide that reassurance. There's no plan to go completely cashless across the car parking estate.
And my second question was, I know that this is year 1 of our action plan, and I'm also assuming that we have other actions that we are working towards to invest in our car parks.
Yes, I'm happy to confirm, as per my introduction, the other key huge action in year 1 of the action plan is the development of an investment strategy, which of course these proposals will go some way towards supporting. And we are planning to bring that forward towards the end of this financial year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Belsey.
Thank you, Chairman. I welcome the report. I'm just conscious of the fact that I know we've all spoken to friends, colleagues, members of the public, people on social media. Parking's something that everybody's got a different view on, and we all have bright ideas that will help improve parking or circulation, or get more traffic, more visits into our towns, etc. But I just think it's important to remember that, as Councillor Webster mentioned, we had the cross-party member working group, but we've been looking at this for quite some years now, and we've actually had an independent consultant come and prepare the strategy for this, and so we've looked at so many different possibilities. They've said it's very unusual not to have had any increases for a 10-year period, and they've made other recommendations, some of which are might on the appearance of it be challenging, and we've sort of tried to I think steer as smooth a path as we can through to looking at these recommendations, and based on the advice that we've received, I'm happy to support the recommendations from us. Thank you.
Councillor Salisbury.
I just think that nobody likes to see prices going up without a reason, but we have a very good reason here in that we need to stay abreast of technology in the use in the car parks to make the use of the car parks more flexible for our residents, and we need to be able to be confident that in the future we can stay abreast of any new developments that have come along. So these nominal, well, they're not nominal, we'll use different words, but the raise in charges I think is wholly correct at this time, so that we can continue to invest in making our residents' lives a little bit easier with the use of technology, which I think everybody these days expects.
Thank you. I'll come back to Councillor Hillier.
Thank you, Leader. I just wanted to make a point following Councillor Demir's question and the answer by the Chief Executive in relation to the rest of the action plan. My instinct is that we need to kind of proceed with caution with a lot of aspects of that, because we're still trying to understand the ramifications of COVID in the behaviour of our residents and our businesses. And whilst I know that we all really want to crack on and get the work done, I would recommend that we just make sure we're clear about the impacts of COVID. This particular instance, because of the season ticket dynamic, means that this is urgent, and I'm absolutely confident it should be right, but I offer caution with regards to timing of the rest of the package. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. And I think just to highlight some of the points that have sort of come out in that conversation, I think the starting point, is, as members have said, is the parking strategy, which was undertaken and adopted on a cross-party basis, that set out very clearly as an action for this year to review charges and to establish the principle of inflationary uplifts. And so at its core, that's what this paper seeks to do. Parking charges haven't changed in Mid-Sussex for 10 years, which is unusual. And just applying that inflationary increase over that time would take us to broadly what is proposed today. And I'm reassured by the examples in the report that parking charges in Mid-Sussex would remain highly competitive compared to other parts of West Sussex and other comparable towns as well. And I think this has been outlined. We look forward to seeing the other parts of the parking strategy come forward and look at where there are opportunities cautiously and carefully to support the improvements in our car park estate to ensure they're contributing towards the vitality of our town centres. I'll take members to the recommendations then that are set out in paragraph 5 of the report. So that's Cabinet recommends to Council, subject to consultation, firstly the introduction of flexible 3, 5 and 6 day season tickets. 2, Cabinet recommended to agree the new tariffs outlined in paragraph 16, and 3, an annual inflationary review for parking charges thereafter. Can I ask members to just give a show of hands of those in favour of that recommendation, please? It's unanimous. Thank you. So that is duly recommended to Council. There are no further items of business, and so I will close the meeting at 5:15 and thank everyone for their attendance. If I could just ask everyone to remain in place until the live stream concludes.